Well, welcome back to You Are Loved. I'm Pastor Neil, and we are exploring the most transforming power in the universe, the love of God. This is episode number 8, entitled, Honey, Wake Up. After Jesus crossed by boat, a large crowd met him, and in that crowd was a man named Jairus. And Jairus fell at Jesus' feet, and he said, "My daughter is at death's door, please." He begged him, "Come and lay hands on her so she will get well and live." Jesus went with him. Matter of fact, a whole crowd went with him, pushing and jostling. There was a woman who, in that crowd, who didn't want to be noticed. She had been suffering. She had been bleeding internally, hemorrhaging, for 12 years. She had seen physicians and spent all her money, and she had just gotten worse. And she told herself, if I could just touch his robe, I will be healed. And so she worked her way through the crowd, and she touched, as he came by, she touched the hem of his robe. And she could feel the healing power. And the bleeding stopped. And she knew this terrible, terrible plague that she'd been dealing with for 12 years was over and done with. Now, at that same moment, Jesus stops the whole crowd and he says, "Someone touched me." His disciples said, What do you mean someone touched you? Everyone is touching everyone. Jesus said, "Someone touched my robe." And he looked around, and the woman said, "It was I. I touched your robe. I knew that I'd be healed if I could just touch your robe, and I am." Jesus said to her, "Daughter, it was the risk of faith. It was faith, your faith, that healed you. Live well, live blessed, be healed forever." And while I was still talking to the woman, there was Jared, waiting for his daughter's healing. And some men came from Jared's house and said, It's too late. Your daughter is dead. Why bother the teacher anymore? Jesus overheard what they said, and he said, "Don't listen to them. Trust me." They went to Jairus' house, and Jesus went in. And everybody's crying, everybody's in grief. And Jesus said, "The child isn't dead, she's sleeping." They told him he didn't know what he was talking about. He sent them all out of the house. He took the child's father and the mother along with his companions, Peter, James, and John. He entered the room. He took the girl by the hand and he said, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, wake up. Honey, wake up." And at that, she was up and walking around. Jairus came and fell at Jesus' feet. He was desperate. He said, "My little daughter's at death's door." He knows how serious this sickness is. He knows that his daughter's at the point of death. Jesus went with him, along with a large crowd, and now he has hope. Jairus has hope. Jesus is going to his house. There's hope for his little girl. But instead of going straight to the man's house, Jesus stops to tend to a woman who's been bleeding internally for 12 years. Surely, she could have waited a little longer. She's been chronically sick. But this little girl is dying right now. You know, no doctor today would have treated that woman first. Jesus could have been sued for malpractice. This woman had exhausted all her resources, and she just kept suffering from the disease and the curse. She had actually gotten worse. She told herself something that wasn't absolutely accurate. She told herself, if I just touch the robes of his garment, I will be made well. She's somewhat superstitious, and she wants to touch and not be noticed. But Jesus stops. He says, power has gone out from me. You know, he lost power so she could gain it. He died for our salvation. God demonstrated his love for us, and then while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. He lost power so that she could feel the power of the healing. The woman knew what happened. She came with fear and trembling. She fell down before him. She told him exactly what was happening, the whole truth. That she has to go in public. She can't just run, touch and run. Why does Jesus get her to tell her story? She needed truth. She was superstitious. She thought it was the touch, and maybe she even thought she could manage this power. Jesus told her that it was faith that healed you and that you're now free. You don't have to touch and run. We're now in a covenant relationship. Now, he said, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be free from your affliction. All this time, Jairus is waiting. He's waiting to take Jesus to his house because he knows his daughter is dying. Can you imagine how worried and anxious and nervous? I'm sure he wanted to hurry Jesus. Are you wanting to hurry Jesus? And then, of course, he gets the worst news any parent could ever get. While he was still there, people came from the synagogue's leader's house and said, your daughter is dead. Why bother the teacher anymore? Do you hear how hopeless that is? Do you ever hear that voice that says, it's hopeless? God can't even help you. Don't even bother God about this. There's no hope. Your daughter's dead, and don't even bother Jesus. There's nothing that can, even God can't even help you. And maybe God doesn't even want to be bothered. So who are you going to listen to? That voice that says there's no hope? Or I love what Jesus said. That voice that says, do not fear. This is what Jesus said to him. Don't be afraid, only believe. Jesus overheard what those guys told him, that it's hopeless. Your daughter's dead. Don't even bother the master anymore. And Jesus said, don't be afraid, only believe. Don't listen to them. Trust me. So they go to Jairus' house, and there's everybody's grieving and crying. And, of course, Jesus says the strangest thing. He says the child's not dead. She was dead, but asleep. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I want you to know, when we come to Jesus for help, you might get more and give more than you bargained for. See, the woman and Jairus both bowed down. And they both get more than what they wanted. They get what they need. See, the woman was superstitious and she believed if she could just touch Jesus' robe. But what she got was a real understanding of the power of faith in Jesus. And Jesus didn't just let her slip away. The woman got more than a healing. She got a relationship with the living God. And for her to get strong, he had to get weak. He was crucified in weakness. He became weak so that we could become strong. Jairus, he got more than just a healing for his daughter. He got a resurrection. He got a demonstration of who God really is. He got the gift of faith, freedom from fear. Now I want you to see these two people. Jairus is an upstanding leader in the community, and the woman is considered unclean. She's a destitute. And Jesus treats them both the same. You know, the scriptures tell us that God doesn't show favoritism. And then verse 41 of Matthew chapter 5. He took the child by the hand and said, Talitha cum, which is translated, honey, wake up. Honey, it's time to wake up. In my studies, I've seen Jesus speak and 6,000 demons come out. and they obey the master. I've seen the wind and the sea obey him, but I want you to look at this. The power of Jesus lifts her right up through death. Honey, wake up. Why does he say the girl is just sleeping? Everybody knows she's dead. Jesus knew she was dead. But death isn't the end for Jesus. A cure, a fever, or raising the dead is no difference when you are God. And if Jesus has you by the hand, death itself is just sleep. So why would you want to hurry someone like this? Are you trying to hurry God? He won't be hurried. Patience is love for the long haul. Why do we hurry God? He knows what he's doing. Is God delaying something in your life? He knows why. He sees the big picture. He knows the plans that he has for you. They're plans for welfare, not calamity. They're plans to give you a future and a hope. Take him by the hand. Let him do what he wants to do. And before you know it, you're going to hear the Savior's voice saying, honey, wake up. If you would like more information about this ministry, go to youareloved.net. While you're there, send us your prayer request. That's youurloved, youareloved.net. God bless you. Thanks for listening in to You Are Loved. We'll see you next time.